The aroma of roasted chicken mingled with the sweetness of baked potatoes as I sat at the family dinner table, my heart racing with anticipation. The flickering candlelight cast soft shadows across the room, illuminating the faces of my family, each lost in their own thoughts. My sister Megan sat across from me, a smirk playing on her lips that sent a shiver down my spine. I had sensed something was off for weeks, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. When Mom cleared her throat and announced that she had a surprise for us, I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. As she handed me the envelope, I hesitated, my fingers trembling slightly. The moment I opened it and saw the shocking $12,000 charge on my credit card, everything else faded away. Confusion washed over me like a cold wave. "What is this?" I managed to whisper, my voice barely above a breath. The table fell silent, the clinking of forks and knives halting as all eyes turned toward me. Megan's smirk widened, and I could see the glint of mischief in her eyes. "Oh, come on, Danielle, it's just a little mistake. You know how banks are," she said, her tone light as if she were discussing the weather, but the weight of her words felt like a punch to my gut. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, each beat echoing my growing suspicion. I had always trusted Megan, but in that moment, doubt crept in like a thief in the night. The laughter that followed her comment felt forced, the tension palpable, and I wondered if my family could sense my turmoil. Had I been blind to her true nature all along? As I looked around the table, the faces of my loved ones felt foreign, their expressions inscrutable. The evening spiraled into a whirlwind of awkward laughter and nervous glances, but all I could focus on was the charge that loomed over me like a dark cloud. I needed answers, but the thought of confronting Megan filled me with dread. My mind raced with questions, each one more unsettling than the last. How could I trust her when everything felt so wrong? The night ended with more questions than answers, and as I lay in bed later, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much darker chapter in our family's story. The park was a kaleidoscope of colors, with golden autumn leaves dancing in the crisp breeze. I sat on a weathered wooden bench, tracing the patterns of the peeling paint with my fingers, lost in the memories of happier times. My heart felt heavy, weighed down by the recent revelation about the charge on my credit card. I could still hear the echoes of laughter from the family dinner, the way Megan had brushed off the situation as if it were nothing more than a joke. It gnawed at me like a persistent itch I couldn't scratch. As I stared at the ground, a gust of wind rustled the leaves, making me shiver. I thought about my sister's smirk, how it twisted my gut into knots. Why did she find amusement in something that could ruin my life? My mind raced with questions that felt like daggers. Was she hiding something? I clenched my fists, the rough texture of the bench digging into my palms, grounding me amidst the storm of emotions swirling within. Flashbacks of our childhood played like a montage in my head, sharing secrets under the covers, late-night giggles over stolen snacks. But now, all I felt was betrayal. I remembered the times I had defended her against our mother's harsh words, believing in her loyalty, only to be met with this shocking betrayal. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being manipulated, like a pawn in a game I didn't even know I was playing. My phone buzzed, pulling me from my thoughts. It was Jake asking where I was. I took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill my lungs, trying to steady myself. I didn't want him to see how shaken I felt. I typed back a quick response, but my fingers trembled slightly, betraying the calm I was trying to project. In that moment, I realized I needed answers. I stood up, brushing the leaves off my jeans, determination replacing the confusion that had clouded my mind. I couldn't let Megan's manipulation continue unchecked. I had to confront her, to demand clarity, even if it meant facing the anger simmering beneath the surface. My heart raced as I envisioned the confrontation ahead, the words I would say, the truth I would seek. There was no turning back now. I was ready to face whatever storm awaited me. The family gathering felt like a pressure cooker, the laughter echoing around me while I sat in silence, grappling with the weight of disappointment. My heart thudded like a distant drumbeat as I glanced at my sister, Megan, whose smile seemed to mock the turmoil within me. The scent of baked goods wafted through the air, mixing with the faint smell of burnt coffee, a reminder of the chaotic energy in the room. I could feel the tension coiling around us like an unseen force, ready to snap at any moment. As people chatted animatedly, I felt the distance grow between my family and me. I watched them from my corner, their animated gestures and shared jokes creating a barrier that I couldn't break through. It was maddening, their laughter felt alien to me, a sound that only amplified my feeling of exclusion. My fingers traced the edge of my glass, the condensation a stark reminder of my own internal struggle, cold and clammy, just like my heart. Megan caught my eye and winked, a gesture that sent a wave of frustration through me. What was she hiding? Did she even realize the chaos her actions had caused? I clenched my jaw, refusing to let her see how much her smirk affected me. Flashbacks of our childhood flooded my mind. The moments we spent playing together, the times we had each other's backs. But now, all I could feel was betrayal. As the evening dragged on, I mustered the courage to speak. "Can we talk?" I asked Megan, my voice barely above a whisper, drowned out by the laughter around us. She raised an eyebrow, her expression shifting momentarily from amusement to irritation. "Talk about what?" she replied, her tone dismissive. The laughter around the table faded and I could feel all eyes on us. My stomach churned as I realized the stakes. If I pushed too hard, would I lose her entirely? "About everything," I said, my voice shaking slightly as I tried to maintain my composure. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in as the weight of my words hung in the air. I was met with silence, the tension palpable. I could see my mother's eyes darting between us, concern etched on her face. I took a deep breath, ready to confront the truth, but the moment slipped away, lost in the cacophony of family dynamics. As the gathering continued, I felt a resolve building within me. I could no longer pretend that everything was fine. I needed to address the injustices, the unspoken resentments that had been festering for far too long. I was determined to seek peace, not just for myself, but for my family. This was only the beginning of a much larger confrontation, and I was ready to face whatever lay ahead. The tension in the air was palpable as I rifled through the clutter of my bedroom, the faint scent of lavender still lingering from my earlier attempts at relaxation. My heart raced, pounding against my ribcage like a frantic drum, as I stumbled upon a worn-out envelope wedged beneath a stack of old magazines. It felt like fate had guided my hand, the crinkled paper almost whispering secrets I desperately needed to uncover. I hesitated, a chill running down my spine, the weight of dread creeping in. What if this was the evidence I sought about the charge? As I opened the envelope, the dim light from my desk lamp cast long shadows, adding a dramatic flair to the moment. Inside, I found a series of receipts, each one detailing extravagant purchases, clothes, electronics, and a lavish dinner for two. My breath caught in my throat. Each slip of paper felt like a dagger, piercing through the trust I had in Megan. I could hardly believe what I was seeing. A wave of nausea washed over me, twisting my stomach into knots. I had to confront her, but the thought of facing my sister sent a jolt of fear coursing through my veins. I grabbed my phone, fingers trembling as I dialed Emily's number, needing her support more than ever. "Hey Danielle, what's up?" Her cheerful voice contrasted sharply with the turmoil in my heart. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself before diving into the chaos. "I found something about Megan. I need to talk to you." My voice wavered, betraying the gravity of my discovery. "What did you find?" she asked, concern lacing her words. I hesitated, my mind racing. Could I trust my best friend to understand the depths of this betrayal? Receipts, big ones, they're all in her name. "I think she's involved in the charge on my card." I heard Emily inhale sharply, the silence stretching between us like a taut wire, each second amplifying my anxiety. "We need to confront her, Danny." "This can't go on," Emily urged, her tone resolute. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me, determination igniting within me. I knew this confrontation would be explosive, but could I handle the fallout? The thought of Megan's reaction sent chills down my spine, yet I couldn't allow fear to dictate my actions anymore. "Okay, let's do it. I'll meet you at the park in an hour," I decided, my voice steadier than I felt. As I ended the call, a mix of dread and resolve washed over me. I was about to dive deeper into the darkness of family deceit, but I needed answers. This time, I would not back down. I would confront the source of my pain, no matter the cost. The stakes had never been higher, and I was prepared to face whatever truth awaited me on the other side of this confrontation. As I left my room, the weight of the envelope felt heavy in my pocket, a tangible reminder of the battle ahead. I had to stay focused, determined to uncover the truth and reclaim my place in a family that felt increasingly foreign to me. The air in the coffee shop was thick with the aroma of roasted beans and the soft hum of conversation, yet I felt a weight pressing down on my chest. I sat across from Emily, my best friend, her warm gaze offering a flicker of comfort amidst my swirling thoughts. "We need to find a way to talk to them, to clear the air, Danielle," she urged, her eyes sparkling with determination. I nodded, my fingers nervously tracing the rim of my coffee cup, feeling the warmth seep into my skin but not quite reaching the chill of uncertainty within. "I just don't know how to start, Em. What if they dismiss my feelings again?" I confessed, my voice barely above a whisper. Memories of the family gathering replayed in my mind, the laughter, the smiles, the painful void where I should have belonged. Emily leaned closer, her expression softening. "You won't know until you try. Maybe this time they'll really listen to you. You have to believe that they can change." Her words ignited a flicker of hope, a small ember that I clung to despite my doubts. We spent the next hour strategizing, mapping out how I could approach my family. What if I write them a letter, something they can read and absorb without the heat of the moment? I suggested, the idea forming like a fragile bubble in my mind. Emily nodded enthusiastically, urging me to express everything I felt on paper. As we brainstormed, a sense of clarity washed over me, but it was quickly tainted by a wave of disillusionment. Would a letter really make a difference? Would it finally bridge the chasm that had grown between me and my family? I couldn't shake the feeling that I was preparing for a battle, not a reconciliation. My heart raced at the thought of sharing my truth, yet the fear of their potential rejection loomed large. Later that evening, I sat in my room, staring at a blank page, the weight of my unspoken feelings pressing heavily on my mind. I remembered the family photos on the wall, evidence of the joy I yearned to be part of. I wanted to reclaim my place, but the fear of pushing them away again paralyzed me. With a deep breath, I began to write, pouring my heart onto the page, hoping that somehow my words would lead to the peace I so desperately sought. The next family meeting loomed ahead, and the thought made my stomach churn. I wondered if they would truly listen or if I was merely setting myself up for another disappointment. The stakes were high, and I knew I had to be brave. But as the day approached, the hope I had been nurturing began to flicker, and I couldn't shake the feeling that my attempts at peace might only lead to further disillusionment. The park was unusually quiet, the crisp evening air tinged with the earthy scent of fallen leaves and the distant sound of children laughing. I stood on the worn path, my heart pounding against my ribcage, a visceral reminder of the confrontation I was about to face. The golden light of the setting sun filtered through the trees, casting elongated shadows that danced around me, mirroring the turmoil inside. I could feel the weight of the world pressing down on my shoulders, the tension coiling tighter with each passing moment. As I waited, I recalled the countless times Megan and I shared this space, laughing and playing as children. But those memories felt tainted now, overshadowed by the betrayal that had unfolded. My fingers trembled as they traced the edge of my phone, contemplating whether to send one last message to Emma, but I resisted. This was my fight, and I needed to stand firm. Megan arrived, her expression a carefully crafted mask of indifference that only fueled my anger. "What do you want, Danielle?" she asked, her tone clipped as she crossed her arms defensively. I inhaled deeply, steadying myself for what was to come. "I want to talk about the charge on my credit card, Megan. I know you had something to do with it," I declared, my voice trembling with a mixture of fury and resolve. Her eyes flickered with surprise, then narrowed as she attempted to dismiss me with a wave of her hand. "You're being dramatic. It's just a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding? You think I'm going to just let that slide?" "You've been lying to me, and I deserve the truth," I retorted, my pulse racing as I stepped closer, the space between us charged with an unspoken tension. Megan's facade cracked momentarily, revealing the fear and guilt lurking beneath. "You don't know what you're talking about, Danielle," she shot back, her voice rising, echoing against the trees. I could feel my heart racing, the urge to scream building within me. This wasn't just about the money. It was about trust, about the bond we once shared that now felt irreparably shattered. "You think I'm going to stand here and let you deny this?" I pressed, my voice rising with each word. The world around us faded, leaving only the two of us in this heated exchange, our history and our future hanging in the balance. In that moment, I realized that this confrontation was about more than just the charge. It was about reclaiming my voice, my identity within our fractured family. I had to push through the fear, the doubt, and demand the justice that had been denied to me for far too long. As the sun dipped lower, casting a fiery glow across the sky, I stood firm, ready to battle not just for the truth, but for the bond that had been twisted by lies. This was my turning point, the moment I refused to be silenced any longer. The dim light of my desk lamp flickered as I sat in my room, surrounded by a sea of crumpled papers and hastily scribbled notes. The air was thick with the scent of lavender, but it did little to calm the storm of emotions swirling within me. I could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on my chest as I contemplated my next move. My heart raced with a mixture of determination and anxiety, a tight knot forming in my stomach as I prepared to outline my plan for confronting Megan once and for all. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my trembling hands as I reached for a fresh sheet of paper. The pen felt foreign in my grip, yet it was my only weapon against the betrayal that had cut so deep. I needed to be strategic. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about reclaiming my voice in a family that had silenced me for far too long. I began jotting down my thoughts, each word a step towards empowerment. "Gather evidence," I wrote, underlining it twice. It was clear that I needed something concrete to confront Megan with. The notion of collecting proof felt both exhilarating and terrifying. I was stepping into uncharted territory, risking everything in my pursuit of truth. I recalled the subtle glances and hushed conversations that had filled the air at family gatherings, each moment now a piece of the puzzle I needed to assemble. Next, I noted confront her in a safe space, my mind racing with possibilities. The park where we used to play as children felt appropriate, a place where memories could intertwine with the present. I envisioned the trees swaying gently in the breeze, their leaves whispering secrets as I laid bare my grievances. Would it be enough? Would my words penetrate the walls she had built around herself? I bit my lip, uncertainty gnawing at me. I paused, allowing the reality of my plan to sink in. This was not just about settling the score, it was about healing. I wanted to bring our family back together, but I couldn't do that without addressing the wounds that had festered in silence. I knew I had to tread carefully, balancing my resolve with the hope of reconciliation. My fingers danced across the page, writing, "Stay calm, focus on feelings, not accusations." As I glanced around my room, I saw remnants of the life I wanted to protect, photos of happier times, trinkets that reminded me of our bonds. I had to fight for that. My resolve solidified, I felt a flicker of hope igniting within me. With every stroke of the pen, I was reclaiming my narrative, ready to confront the shadows that loomed over my family. This would be my moment. I would no longer be the silent observer in my own story. The living room felt like a pressure cooker, the air thick with unspoken accusations and pent-up emotions as I faced Megan. Sunlight filtered through the sheer curtains, casting a soft glow on the chaos that was about to unfold. My palms were clammy, and I could feel the pounding of my heart echoing in my ears, a rhythmic drumbeat of anxiety. I would not let her dismiss me again. "This ends with me, Megan," I declared, my voice shaking but resolute. She leaned back against the arm of the couch, a smirk playing on her lips as if she found amusement in my fury. "You think you can just walk in here and demand answers? You're such a drama queen, Danny," she shot back, her tone dripping with condescension. The nerves in my stomach twisted tighter, a mixture of anger and vulnerability flooding my veins. I glanced at the family portraits hanging on the walls, their smiles frozen in time, and I remembered the warmth that once filled this home. Now it felt like a battlefield. I pressed on, my voice steadier than before. "I deserve to know why you did this to me. You've always played the victim while I've been left in the shadows. I won't let you twist this anymore." Megan's expression shifted, the smirk fading as the truth pierced through her defenses. I could see her facade cracking just for a moment, revealing the fear hidden beneath. "You think you're the only one hurting?" she shot back, her voice rising. "You've always been the favorite. Everyone loves you more." Her words struck me like a slap, and I felt the sting of betrayal wash over me. I had hoped for understanding, but instead I was met with resentment. The tension in the room escalated, thickening the air until it was nearly suffocating. I could hear my heart racing, the sound drowning out everything else as I prepared for the ultimate confrontation. "You don't get to play the victim here any longer, Megan. I'm done being the one who has to appease you. I will not be reduced to a punchline in your game of lies and deceit." As the words hung in the air, a silence enveloped us, heavy and charged with the weight of unspoken truths. I felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration coursing through me. This was it, the moment I had been waiting for, and I was ready to fight for my truth, no matter the cost. In that pivotal moment, I realized this confrontation was not just about the charge on my credit card. It was about reclaiming my place in the family, about shattering the illusion of loyalty that had kept us all bound in silence for too long. My resolve solidified. I would not back down. I would demand answers, and I would not leave until I had closure, no matter how messy this confrontation might become. The family meeting unfolded in the same familiar dining room, yet it felt transformed, charged with an undercurrent of hope mixed with lingering tension. The table, once a battleground of emotions, now served as a bridge, a place where we could finally confront the unspoken wounds that had festered for too long. The aroma of lasagna, usually comforting, now felt almost suffocating as I took my seat, the weight of the moment pressing down on my shoulders. My siblings sat across from me, their expressions a mix of concern and anticipation, while my mother, seated at the head of the table, wore a mask of guarded vulnerability. As I looked around, I could feel the palpable shift in the air, a collective breath held in anticipation of what was to come. My heart raced, a mix of anxiety and determination coursing through me. I was ready to lay bare the feelings I had kept bottled up, the hurt that had grown with each passing year. Taking a deep breath, I began to speak, my voice steady yet filled with emotion. "I want us to acknowledge the pain we've all caused each other. I felt invisible, excluded from memories that should have included me. I need to know that my place in this family matters." The silence that followed was thick, almost suffocating, as my words hung in the air. My mother's eyes glistened with unshed tears, and for a brief moment I saw the flicker of understanding in her gaze. "Mia, I never intended for you to feel that way. I'm sorry if I overlooked you, it's just..." We've always been so caught up in our own lives that we didn't see how it affected you. A wave of relief washed over me, mingling with the bittersweet realization that acknowledgement was the first step toward healing. My sister, who had often felt like a rival, leaned forward, her voice trembling. I didn't realize how much you were hurting, Mia. I thought you were okay with things as they were. I want to do better. As the conversation unfolded, I felt the walls that had separated us begin to crumble. Each confession, each shared memory, felt like a thread weaving us closer together, binding us in a tapestry of understanding. We spoke of our fears, our insecurities, and the ways we had all contributed to the rift that had grown between us. It was exhausting but liberating, the air filling with an honesty that had been absent for far too long. By the end of the meeting, we had laid bare our vulnerabilities, and the weight of unresolved feelings began to lift. While I knew there would still be challenges ahead, I felt a flicker of hope igniting within me. We had taken the first steps toward healing, and I was no longer alone in fighting for my place in this family. As we embraced, the warmth of our connection felt like a promise to continue the conversation, to keep the lines of communication open. I knew this was just the beginning, but for the first time in a long while, I felt that maybe, just maybe, we could find our way back to each other. As I sat on my porch, the sun dipped low on the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. The warm breeze caressed my skin, a gentle reminder of the new beginnings I was ready to embrace. The laughter of my family echoed in the distance, a joyful sound that filled my heart with a sense of belonging. I reflected on the journey that had brought us here, the struggles and confrontations that had transformed our relationships. It hadn't been easy, but the effort to bridge the gaps had borne fruit, and I felt a renewed sense of hope for our future together. I glanced at the family photo we had taken the other night, the smiles frozen in time capturing a moment of unity and understanding. It was a testament to our resilience, a reminder that love, though complicated, was worth fighting for. I felt a warmth in my chest, knowing that I had finally found my voice and reclaimed my place within the family's narrative. My heart swelled with gratitude as I realized that we were not perfect, but we were willing to grow together. Yet as I sat there, a flicker of doubt crept in. Would we be able to maintain this newfound harmony? I took a deep breath, reminding myself that healing is a continuous journey, one that requires patience and dedication. I was determined to nurture these connections, to keep the lines of communication open, and to face the challenges ahead with courage. With that resolve, I picked up my phone, ready to share my story and encourage others to confront their own familial struggles. I wanted my experiences to resonate with those who felt isolated, to remind them that their voices matter. As I tapped away, I felt a surge of excitement. This was not just about me. It was about creating a community of support and understanding. I smiled to myself, knowing that my journey was just